Between Solafide and Zeus Gaming, and let's take a little reset here. Game number 1 had some interruptions, but that doesn't mean the stakes have changed. These are two undefeated teams here in the UGP. We're looking for either of them to go on from here to the grand finals and have a chance at claiming that championship. TJ?
Oh, sorry, I was paused.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this upper bracket matchup as game number 1. Did look real good for Solafide. I think their ability to dominate the early game through lanes has been a consistent strength of that team. It's just coming from different lanes as we've moved on through the amateur season. And I've been really impressed by that, because now that Apollo and Dokla and Tuesday are all consistent threats, and Winston can kind of pick and choose which one to play to, they have the ability to make adjustments based on their opposition. If it's, oh hey, we're playing into a Lorem who's real good in the top side and is a key part of this team, guess what? Dokla gets the Rift Herald, and he's entirely capable of ending the game by himself.
And I think the big thing there is that it just freed up Winston to go wherever he felt he was needed. Instead of needing to salvage a lane, needing to push forward a specific lane, he was like, okay, top lane's where I really want to be winning this game, so I'm going to gank once. Didn't work. Fine. Go back to the jungle, gank again. Eventually, it did work, and they were able to snowball off that, whereas RBM kind of floundered going through that early game. So this time, I want to see a little bit more coming out as the analyst desk mentioned.
Yeah. Desk all over it. Let's get into draft number 2. Solafide again taking the blue, Zeus Gaming again on the red, the right-hand side. There's our bans, Udyr, Seraphine from Zeus. They have to get the Seraphine ban out the way. The Udyr and the Olaf, if it comes through again, are both targeted at Winston. I question the importance of that, given that Winston was solid anyway. Pulling out the Lilia was a consistent part of this team regardless. And Solafide will benefit as they're able to get Tuesday, one of his favorite champions, again.
I think this makes sense. Like, a lot of times,
Oh,
I
I
don't
like that guy.
Oh, good response there from Zeus, especially that counter pick there from Darkwings with that Lucian. I like this because on the side of Solafide, Tuesday is incredibly solid on this Orianna, brings out carry performance after carry performance, as we saw in game number 1. But for Darkwings, this gives them the opportunity to push back against Tuesday to try and take dominance away from the mid laner of Solafide.
And as with game 1, they're targeting so much of Darkwings' pool. They're getting rid of the Azir, they're getting rid of the Victor, and those are some of the best characters for a player like Darkwings who wants to sit and scale in the mid game, be a threat come teamfight time. So seeing the adaptation of, okay, well, I'm not just going to try and match scaling, I'm going to step up and try and out-duel Tuesday in lane is really good for me to see. Darkwings has the potential to be the more aggressive of our two mid laners, and I would like to see that manifested here. Don't give Tuesday the space to roam. Don't give him the opportunities to control the map like he did during game number 1.
And I think it's interesting to me that beyond that adaptation between mid and jungle, this draft so far is pretty much the same. It seems like Zeus Gaming are really confident in their bottom lane from level 1, and I don't disagree with them. They were able to hang in there the entire time. They didn't lose the lane. They were able to scale up. Problem was, by the time they had scaled up, the rest of the game had already kind of fallen away from them. So that's what the change really needs to be here for Zeus Gaming for them to find success.
If there is anything on this draft so far that is like sparking emotion from me, joy, it is for Zeus Gaming. I like them taking away the Lilia. Winston is still good on the Hecarim. I like his Lilia slightly more, so I think they have one out on that exchange as well as the mid exchange. The other thing I want to see changed is the top side, where Alorum did play a Wukong that looked fine in lane alone, but was very quickly focused down by ganks. I think that needs to be changed.
Just really looking forward to that, but it will be the Gnar reset back up in the top lane. We're going to have Zazel on that Scion again. Really fantastic. He had immaculate side lane control, able to shove it through for his team. Zeus Gaming looking at a pick there for Alorum in the top lane.
And it is the adjustment if it is either of these two picks. I want to see an awareness that Alorum is getting full focused. I want to see an awareness that Alorum is being dedicated as, okay, Solafide are going to blow out their top lane, and drafting an Ornn for Alorum kind of denies that. Now, also importantly, it does deny Zeus Gaming the opportunity to have a topside carry during the early mid-game. Orns can get scary, but it's unlikely versus Doppler that Aloran's going to do anything ridiculous. So, this means that there is even more pressure on that Lucian in mid and that Tristana in bottom to show up in a way they didn't have the opportunity to during game number 1. Now, there is more of a safety net because you can basically assume that Aloran, especially as good a player as he is going to be fine on the Ornn. And that means that they will have more time to step up between the Lucian and the Tristana. So I do like these Zeus Gaming draft adjustments, but Solafide did also get a win. Matt, they have the ball carrier composition now. This is Orianna and Hecarim. Real easy lock-in. Even though I like Winston more on the Liliana, Winston with Tuesday's Orianna on the Hecarim is a real good wombo combo.
And I think this is basically the same composition for Solafide. They can play it the same way they did last time. Sure, Hecarim is not as great as Lilia as just running away from things, but you have stronger engage into these fights, and you can still move around the map very quickly. And from here, they can just play it the exact same way. So this really is on the adjustments from Zeus Gaming. Like you said, I'm loving that Ornn in the top wave for Aloran. He has shown to be incredibly proficient on these tank characters just as much, if not more than his bruisers.
Yeah, something to talk about, of course, because Solafide are one game away from the Grand Finals. Should they win this, they go all the way through to our finals in 2 days. The loser has to play tomorrow in the lower bracket. You can find all the information about that here at twitch.tv/academy, where we will be broadcasting everything. We have Captain Flowers and LS, along with a star-studded lineup of analysts, to broadcast the Grand Finals. You won't want to miss any of it.
Before we get there, though, TJ, we got a hell of a series on our hands.
There's steps!
We gotta get there first! We got to figure out who of these is going on to the Grand Finals. We've got Solafide coming off a Game 1 victory, and Zeus Gaming, with Raheen having some earlier internet issues, may have contributed to the results of that game a little bit. So I'm hoping to see Raheen and Zeus Gaming come back reinvigorated in game number 2. It's very easy to feel the pressure of being on match point in this best-of-3 series when it means you'll get to the finals or not. But as we get into game number 2, I want to see Zeus reset. I want to see them make a fight for their way back into the Grand Finals.
I think that is the right way to frame it. Zeus did lose out to Solafide when we saw this matchup before. Solafide punched them out of the Challengers Uprising bracket in the semi-finals. It was a close game. Zeus took a map off of Solafide, but they did go down, and I have to imagine I would not like to repeat that again in what is arguably the semi-finals here of UGP. I don't know, upper bracket, lower bracket, it all gets complicated.
It might as well be semi-finals. It's the one before the finals.
If you use certain bracket, I've just realized I can't say the brand name, but one of the most popular bracket generators out there is French, and it just calls winners finals a semi-final if you use double elim, and it always confuses me.
It's basically the same. I'm gonna take that argument.
If you're French, it is.
Then
apparently,
I'm French, I guess. Tuesday would back me up on this, being the French player here on Solafide.
Don't do that.
He knows I'm right.
Sure. Pressure will come through on the top side. This is solo start for RBM. Did get a little bit of leash from Aloran, but not a lot. Necessary to kick a Lilia off on the right foot. We can expect then Winston to arrive in the top lane in a couple of moments and RBM to arrive down bottom if both clears are reasonable and uninterrupted.
This bottom lane, Rhino's still looking really aggressive here. I'm heartened by that. Rhino playing anything but the most aggressive support in the league is really disappointing for me, so I'm glad to see that their spirit has not been dampened by game number 1. Meanwhile, Aloran having a much worse time here in the top lane than game number 1.
Just having to walk away. But again, this is the benefit of playing Ornn, is you can walk away. He will be fine. And this is what needs to continue to be the case, because Zoos are not going to be playing to Alorum's Ornn. Things have gone very wrong if Alorum's Ornn is important to their success. What needs to happen instead is Alorum's Ornn stays fine despite a ton of pressure, and down in the bottom side and mid lane they boost Darkwings and Raheen out to be teamfight carries, then play the macro through the objectives. So there should be a little bit of split focus here. If Winston stays to the same format he did during Game 1, if they stay on the theory of boosting Dokla out to a game-ending state, then you're going to have Winston paying a whole lot of attention up top here, and RBM lingering down bottom.
If we look here into the mid lane, Darkwings has been doing a pretty decent job here in the mid lane matchup, was able to shove that wave in all the way to tower, and then reset for the longsword. Should be able to give a lot more combat potential in the mid lane, and hopefully not lose too much farm off of it as he finally returns to lane. Has already chunked Tuesday down significantly, and Tuesday was forced to burn both potions in the meantime. So Darkwings, I think, pretty on track.
Scuttles were picked up on the respective sides of the map I highlighted. Winston grabbing vision up top towards the Rift Herald. Here's a dive, Apollo in trouble. Raheen will find first blood, TP as well.
RBM trying to find the kites out. Here comes another teleport. This should be Alorum coming in. No, Darkwings instead. Going to be able to find a little bit of damage there on Zeyzal, but not the kill. Zeus Gaming find a kill at 4 minutes.
Very important first blood as well, because it is down here in that bottom lane I just highlighted. It is onto Raheen, who we just highlighted, needs to be the carry for this team. TPs will come back to lane here. I don't think they can go directly onto the Drake. RBM still has not first backed, so they will need to reset before they can contest that Drake, and indeed RBM's lingering a little bit longer to try and steal away some Raptors. But I would like to see Zeus try and turn that pressure into exactly that. The first Drake of the game. Start the clock early. You're playing into Orianna, Center, Hecarim. It's not going to get better the later you go. Start pushing your advantage as soon as you get it in that bottom lane.
I think the big thing here I'm looking for outside of just that Dragon Take is more fighting coming out from the bottom lane. Especially now that you have a Lucian in the mid. That teleport is more of what I want to see coming out from Zeus, because last game they lacked those cross-map plays. They lacked really any sort of fighting as a team, and they suffered for it. This is a great start for them as the mid lane gank comes out.
Winston onto Darkwings, who will have to flash, but will survive behind the turret. Winston gets chunked down decently low as well. Now in the ball lane, you've been engaged. Raheen from the cubby.
Looking to find the last explosive charge, but will not as Apollo survives, but barely. No CC or summoner left.
Apollo yet again being poked low here. And you can see Raheen and Rhino willing to be the aggressors as Rhino starts things off, pressuring Solafide back, and Raheen's able to jump over the wall from the alcove. Some alcove gaming, man.
Finally, some good alcove gaming. We've been waiting since they came into the game. It's so rare that you see people actually take advantage of it, but it's a beautiful engage from Raheen and Rhino, and I want to see them keep that going. Last game, they just kind of shoved under tower the entire time, and while that didn't kill them, here comes Alorum with some CC.
Yeah, Alorum actually burns Dokla low. Winston will try and shove him out from underneath the turret. I don't believe they can find this. Alorum, as we discussed, is simply too tanky. You know who's not too tanky, though? Tuesday lands a shockwave, survives on 1 HP.
I say he's too tanky, TJ. Able to get out of there,
Orianna,
no problem.
She is too tanky. Ward over the wall as well, look at that. Tuesday throwing that ward into his Raptor pit, knows exactly what's going on with Zeus, calls down Dokla and Winston to try and punish this.
Here comes Alorum as well. Darkwings will get rooted. Winston looking for the engage over the side. Rhino still there looking for the taunt. Will not find it just yet. Alorum being left out to dry a little bit there. The top side of the fight gets engaged on Onslaught of Shadows. That is the kill coming out there for Winston. It's RBM needs to find a way out.
Got to find a way to get that Grump as far as he's concerned. There we go.
Hey!
Pop the emote. That should be first strike of the game over to Solafide, though, and it is. Which is not the foot Zeus wanted to start on. Unless Rhino's looking to contest here, which would appear to be a mistake. I would be very confused, but he just walks up to it. He bursts Winston low. He gets the kill!
Able to find the kill. maybe forcing off this Drake take as well as RBM rotates in. Zeus Gaming just recovered the early game in a beautiful engage by Rhino.
You don't mess with the Rhino, Matt. He just walks up and taunts him, sees what happens.
Mess with the Rhino, you get the horn. Damn.
He knew exactly how much damage his full combo was going to do. And that is very impressive. Support Galio hurts a decent amount during this early game. I would not have thought it was that much.
So this fight, obviously, Alorum falls early on. RBM steals out the Gromp there. Not a whole lot to say off the back of that. But that Dragon fight,
sick Gromp.
That was the real highlight. As you said, Rhino able to solo out Winston essentially from the level of HP he was at. And from there, Raheen and RBM show up like, hey, I heard there's a Drake here or something. Let's go check that out.
I'm just checking my map and it says Ocean Drake, so thought I would come over, see how wavy it was. And indeed,
very.
Yeah. It's mighty fresh, Matt, as the kids would say. Zeus Gaming able to get that first strike, and this is what I was talking about. It starts the clock a little bit earlier. It gets them rolling towards that fourth Drake, which would provide them with an opportunity in the mid-game to end the game. Now that is all reliant on them getting all 4 Drakes, but they are never going to be stronger than during that mid-game, so the win condition has sort of been started here for Zeus, especially as yet more gold goes towards this bot lane, and Rhino is just walking at him.
A little too close for comfort, but dive coming in potentially here as Darkwings is on the rotate.
He was just going in for a deep ward and to steal away the Krugs.
Ha!
It's literally what he just did. He stole away the Krugs and he warded as deep as he could, which is valuable. That warding is actually incredibly powerful. It allows the bottom lane to get very frisky and aggressive for Zeus, which is again their win condition. So it makes a lot of sense. It's just really cool to see.
This movement here from Solafide is exactly what you'd expect, exactly what we saw last game. Winston will be answering with the Rift Herald. Zazel charges into lane, fearless as ever. Yeah. I suspect this will be dropped top again, just to get Dokla ahead once more.
I do want to highlight Solafide is still very much in this early game. Tied here in gold. Rhino dives the backline. Raheen over the top. Full focus here on Apollo. RBM misses it, but Raheen does not. There's the ultimate to confirm the kill. Zazel will be popped mighty low behind the turret, but will survive.
This is what I wanted. Game number 1 from Zeus, from Raheen. This is the 80 carry we have been looking for this whole time. 2-0-0 now on this Tristana, and these aggressive engages are what is saving this lane and the game for Zeus Gaming. Up a full 1,000 gold already.
And I know I love support players a little too much, but when we say Rhino is one of the real carries of this team, this is why. Check out his just engage. He says it does not matter what happens in that top fight. Zazel cannot possibly do enough damage to Raheen that Raheen cannot follow up on the zone of safety I create the second I land a taunt. Because the second he taunts Apollo, Apollo is using those long, chunky auto attack times to focus the Galio. He's committed to it by the taunt. And Raheen has a window where, as Tristana, you can rocket jump in and just pump in so much damage. The fight is over the second Rhino lands the taunt.
Powerful bot lane engages coming out time after time after time here for Zeus Gaming have found them an advantage. But I'm looking at the rest of the map right now. Alorum has done a beautiful job thus far of not giving away too much. Definitely down in gold, but hasn't been knocked out of lane, is not going to be useless for this team going forward. Has the heal queued up as well as the engage comes out.
Yeah. Alorum is doing a really good job here of staying alive, because that has been the response for Solafide as they have tried to shove this top side in. There was a Rift Herald that got picked up a few moments ago, and I expect to see that summoned here on the top side in a couple of moments for that first turret. And Solafide can very much still even up this game through this top lane, as Alorum is all alone up there, and the dive is coming through. Simultaneously, cross-map from both teams. Rift Herald summoned up top, dive down bottom.
There goes Apollo, Rhino shortly to follow, but they will be able to find 80 carry for support, a positive trade. Meanwhile, on the top line, Lorem gets out alive, but does lose that first tower and loses half the HP on the second one. May actually be the full tower at that rate.
Overall positive here so far for Solafide, so Zoos need more. That's what Darkwings is trying to poke for, but Tuesday's just been farming whilst Darkwings has been roaming. And that will add up here. It's certainly enough to zone him off. Second turret did fall there on the top side. Zoos are kind of left holding a bag here. They're going to try and get something back in the form of this Drake, and they will be able to lock it in.
Gonna say something a little bit crazy here. I think Zoos are fine. Like, yeah, they've lost that engage, they've lost those 2 towers, but look at the gold, look at the dragons, look at that bottom lane. Raheen is still in a position to carry, and that is what's most important here for Zeus.
I think it is important to frame it, though, as both teams are absolutely fine with the map state right now. We've been highlighting Zeus a lot because they did not achieve this during game number 1. Oh, good little dodge there from Darkwings. Will stay safe. Winston barely alive.
Tilting Lullaby comes out. We'll find onto Zazel. There's the Dawning Shadow from downtown. Won't be able to find anyone, but will deter Zeus Gaming from their engage attempt.
Okay, what I was going to talk about is Solafide are still very much on track for what they want to do, what their game plan is. And that kill that we just had down onto Rhino at the bottom lane, that went to Tuesday, along with all the gold that Tuesday has secured by just sitting in this lane and farming up. Their win conditions are unabated. Dokla does have a massive lead now on the top side. Tuesday is stable and scaling in mid, with Winston again being a stable presence and ready to be a ball carrier in these late game teamfights. And guess what's going on in the bot lane? Sure, they're being pressured, but it's a Senna lane. They will be fine. This Senna will still be able to fight eventually, no matter what gets done to her during this early and mid game. So Zoos have a little bit of a ticking clock here. They need to find something more than these even trades, because that is what they have so far, even trades against a team that is going to do better and better as this game goes on.
And that's what the Dragons have been for thus far. Zeus has picked up both of them very early on in the game. We got 3 minutes left until the first Infernal Drake of the game. If Zeus are able to secure that, they have a clear win condition and some inherent pressure that they can use to force Solafide around the map by the nose. You get those 3 points, you get to Soul Point. That next Dragon, Solafide will have to take. Zeus can use that to either pressure it or take Baron, as Dokla in a lot of trouble up top.
2 ultis burned to wrangle the big Dokes. They will try their very hardest to hand this over to Raheen. This was started by a Call the Forge God.
Uh-oh.
Raheen burned ulti as well. Have to burn Flash to confirm that. Dokla earning his paycheck.
There goes Taunt. Not going to be able to land there onto Winston.
Oh, he is out, Matt. That was disgusting.
Beautiful onslaught of shadows. Here comes RBM, looking for a little bit of damage there onto Tuesday, but Raheen wasn't in the mid lane in time, so they won't be able to convert off of that. This is a really scrappy game so far, TJ, and this is so much better. This is so much more what I wanted to see coming out of both of these teams, because they both are so good in team fighting, so good with taking those engages, taking those fights, and turning them into a tool for themselves to push forward in the game. And this is the kind of battle I wanted to see them match on.
We've also not had any technical issues this game, so the combination I'm loving right now.
4-0-0 on Raheen. Look at that. That's crazy. I know the flash had to come in for the last kill, but this is the hyperscaling that we're looking for here.
Alorum will stay safe behind the turret. Top side, Rhino and RBM are going all in. That's going to be a very clean turret to take. Or sorry, Rift Herald to take. It will turn into a turret, which is where I was going with that. Because yet more map pressure can be handed over from it. Here we go. Zeus with the Rift Herald. Mid lane turret to fall. Alorum doing just fine, holding on to the bot side. They're going to keep shoving.
And look at Alorum's game state while all this is going on. That second charge is very likely not going to be able to come out. Actually, will make it in time, even despite the smite of Winston. So well done there for Zeus. But Alorum still up in CS. Rhino gets caught there by the root from Apollo. Flash it to safety. Goes, right? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Rhino's real good. And we lose sight of the little things sometimes in the midst of disastrous games. Rhino has been a stalwart in the bot lane for Zeus. And they are certainly making a play here in game number 2. Their timer is those drakes. I think that's important. We are 30 seconds away from the third of the game, and you can see Solafide are equally aware of it. They would very much like to be able to deny that Sol win condition, make sure this game goes the full 30+ minutes, because Solafide get better and better the longer it goes.
This is interesting to me. Look at Raheen rotating all the way up to the top side of the map. Instead of contesting this Drake whatsoever, they're sending him to try and take down this Tier 1 tower. Now, yeah, Tier 1s are important, but if you have the chance to force someone onto Soul Point, feel like you should do it.
We'll see what they get with it. It does appear they will cede this Drake. Raheen at most will get a turret, and I think I agree with you. I think this is a miscall. I would have preferred to see Zeus team fight for it. They will get that Drake. It is a lot of extra gold, or this turret. That is a lot of extra gold over onto Raheen, so nothing to sneer at. 300 in the bank account, but those all-important Drakes are sneaking away, and Darkwings is in trouble here in mid. He will go down.
Flash not enough to get him out of that one. Didn't have the dash over the wall in time. Really good follow-up there by Winston finding the CC. So little things here and there for Solafide are bringing them back towards an even game state much more quickly than I had imagined.
Yeah, and this is why I was always so careful to hedge our bets here. As Douglas says, talk to the hand. Slaps Allura around a bit. But we do need to hedge our bets here because, yes, Zeus have earned a lot of advantages during this early game, but they have not managed to do anything permanent, if that makes sense. Did Allura just steal that Grump, or did I misread the goal?
Almost.
Almost, okay. Safe backs now as the early engage doesn't work out. The dive onto the Ornn was ruled a waste of time. Solafide will reset to their own jungle.
So I'm going to look here. Take out the level of Allura. Level 13 already. 19-minute mark. He's the highest level in the game, despite being left on an island and bullied. Tuesday has finally caught up just now. But this means Allura has the upgrade from the Ornn items, going to be able to get some for his teammates coming in at the very next level. And I think this game plan plays really well to what Zeus are doing. Sure, they lost the Infernal Drake, but again, by far not out of this game. I think this one is going to come down to Raheen versus Tuesday as far as carries go. Darkwings is going to fall off in the later stages of the game, but Raheen
and I would agree with that. And it is just a timer, though, because if we go too long, then Apollo starts to become a factor despite being 0 for 3. Senna just does that. So, this is what it comes down to. Raheen, Darkwings, what can you do now in the 20 to 30 minute marks to tie up this game with a neat little bow? You can see the benefit of all of the gold they've been pouring onto Raheen over on the left side of your screen here, but check this out. Tuesday and Darkland not far behind, and that's what you have to be watching out for if you're a Zeus Gaming fan. Solafide are very much still in this.
Allura has popped the ghost, looking for the chase down here as Raheen comes out behind. There comes the call of the Forge God. Dokla gets stunned up. Here comes Brittle as well. Raheen is out. Dokla is into mini-Gnar form. This should be a foregone conclusion as the Dawning Shadow comes out. Dokla finds the Blast Plant over, but so is his life as Raheen picks up his 5th kill of the game.
And that's important. They are explicitly putting all of this gold into Raheen. He is the team now. When we come to the next team fight, lock your eyes on that Tristana, because Zeus have pinned all their hopes on her.
Rhino able to find CC here on Azazel, who is so tanky. RBM looking for a little bit of trade as well, but they're not going to be able to lock down that Scion, and this is, again, how Solafide were able to find advantages last game. They took the Scion, they took the Gnar, put them in respective side lanes and said, okay, push. We'll do everything else. You just keep pushing, keep drawing pressure away from the center of the map, keep drawing it away from the objectives. And Solafide look like they're going to be trying to do the same thing this game, but the key difference, Dokla and Zazel aren't doing anywhere near as well this game.
Yeah. And that is important. You know, Dokla is still scary. He's still, I think, the 2nd highest performer at gold with the amount of resources that have been poured into him. But he's going to be able to do less with that gold than a Tristana. So there is an advantage for Zeus inherent in their choice of carry. We will see if they manage to turn it into anything more, because guess what, Matt? We are 45 seconds away from the Drake. Zoos absolutely need this Drake. They cannot afford to delay that Sol win condition further.
This is where they faltered last game as well, so a little bit of redemption on the cards potentially here for Zoo. Liking the positioning of Raheen. Very careful, very safe from all these flanks that could be coming out, as we see Rhino pushing into the mid lane, trying to get those minions pushed into that tier 2.
Raheen's safe and careful with RBM down in the river. Mid lane is where his support is, but Rhino's sitting on that ultimate. You can expect the heroic entrance to be spent defensively if a dive effort comes through onto their Tristana. I like this call, though. Solafide say, fine, you nerds can have the Drake. We're going to start roaming up and threatening the Baron and see what that causes. See what response we can provoke. Doesn't seem to have gotten them what they wanted, though. And Zeus should be able to get the Drake uncontested.
I mean, the downfall of that plan, right, is Raheen still has the 2 big, beefy peelers right next to him to keep him safe, and you have 2 really high DPS carries on that Drake. You've got RBM and Darkwings who both take down dragons like it's nobody's business, so they weren't really losing a ton of DPS, a ton of speed on that Drake in regards to how quickly you can take down a Baron. They could have rotated up, they had the TP on Darkwings, RBM moves real fast on that Lilia, so not quite going to be able to get the response they wanted there for Solafide.
Good signs, though, for Zeus, as they are able to survive that threat, and what's more, they get their 3rd Drake, and what's more, they get that gold onto Raheen. So, all things going according to the plan. 25 minutes on our clock here. They must be able to end the game fairly soon.
I like the items coming out from Dokla and Winston. You can see what their goal is. Find Raheen, pop that Randuin's, and make sure Raheen cannot solo carry this fight. You know, has the bang-on effect of getting Darkwings down on that AD as well, but the real focus is making sure Raheen cannot run away with these team fights, keep repositioning, and getting to safety.
Dokla around the side, this is a pincer, this is dangerous, look at Raheen all alone!
Oh, taken down by the Dawning Shadow. There's the shutdown from Winston, and that's the win condition of Zeus out of the game. No ultimate going to be able to come out from Rhino, as Alorum forced to flash over the wall as well. Tuesday finds the support of Zeus. The top laner barely escaping as it goes. Apollo not able to find that last auto attack, at least in the mid lane. Zeus have found a response.
Apollo gets to go skeet shooting there. Picking Raheen out of midair with the Dawning Shadow. Winston closes the kill. And yeah, that is the win condition, as in, this sets Solafide up to just win. All of the gold that was just poured onto Raheen has been rendered useless. That Baron has been picked up. Zeus will have to sit on the back foot for 3 more minutes. And guess what's coming up during those 3 minutes, Matt?
Would it be Dragon?
Uh-huh. Yeah, you're right, Matt. It would be the Dragon.
Oh,
I didn't expect you to actually have to guess, but I appreciate that you nailed it in one. That Drake is the soul, and it is perhaps the only way that this game keeps going for Zeus, so they're going to need to find a way out of their base.
And this fight was really just an example of them getting completely split off. Once you have Raheen out of the fight, they have no way back into it, and the 2 tanks get pulled away. No further purpose in the fight, but I did find it hilarious how long Alorum lived, or even that Alorum lived.
Yeah, the Apollo repeatedly almost getting the shot off and Alorum being slightly too fast.
Well, even getting the shot off, and then Alorum healed 143 health randomly.
Yeah. Rough times for Apollo, but I think he's alright by it. This is what I was talking about. You can see they're able to threaten in every lane simultaneously. Here in the mid lane, though, Alorum comes from the side.
Call the Forge God lands onto Zazel. Here comes the teleport as well. The re-engage comes from Winston. Raheen still safe on the side, but isn't putting out any damage at the moment. That means Tuesday can just fire away. The Lilting Lullaby onto 4 pauses the fight for the time being. Raheen firing away, but RBM is down, and Solafide seem to be wiping the fight as Rhino has to run away.
It was a 4-man lullaby, but nobody was singing, Matt. Nobody manages to follow up. And as a result, Solafide just freeze, pause, take a power nap, come right back out of the sleep, and win the fight. Rhino's now split. There's nobody to defend this top side. Alorum's no HP. Here's the push on the inhibitors.
Zeyzal is tanky, so Darkwing's not going to be able to do a whole lot. Raheen is finally here for the backup, but going to take a while to take down that tanky Scion. So there is still pressure on both inhibs.
They put all their gold on Raheen to carry them in late game. Raheen gets picked off one fight and completely zoned off the next. The target calling from Solafide, the ability to deny Raheen's access to fights has been impeccable. There is no way into the action. Raheen is held at arm's length, and as a result, Zeus do not get the damage out during that fight and are now just at a devastating deficit in the game.
And hey, TJ, it's that thing you were talking about, the Infernal Drake coming up in 5 seconds. This is going to deny Sol from Zeus Gaming if they aren't able to contest it, which looks like will be a struggle if they are able to find it.
And RBM might have just been caught out, gets stunned up against the wall. Call the Forge Guard from Alorum will come through the mid lane. They're going to try and make something happen, and Apollo is burst down. RBM stays alive. Zeyzal knocked into GA, will come out the other side. Oh, Darkwings up top will go down. Tuesday able to find two. RBM and Raheen have to back away, but they still have stalled out this fight, gotten a 2-for-1 trade.
Tuesday's still up. This is the threat from Solafide. No matter what game it is, no matter what fight it is, Tuesday's who you need to take out. Raheen's still safe in the back line. Tuesday looking for the engage. Won't be able to find it. The jump away from Raheen for the time being. But Tuesday with the burst knocks him down. Here comes Rhino from the side, but it's too little too late as Zeus Gaming are split and will shortly lose the fight.
Rhino with Tuesday. He almost finds it, but the shielding keeps Tuesday alive. He has enough shielding to protect an entire army, and there is no way to get to him. He'll back right around the corner as Dokla valiantly defends him. That Infernal Drake, though, man, it is still up, and it will still be contested. The TPs are coming in very fast. Tuesday on the flank, and already Winston very low.
Shockwave.
The Shockwave!
Darkwings falls. The double kill comes out from Winston, and Rhino forced out of the fight. Solafide try to find the chase down. Winston not quite fast enough, but it looks like Zeyzal just pushing in for the inhibitor. An open inhibitor in the top lane, a dead inhibitor in the mid lane. Solafide could potentially just push for the win here.
Especially as they manage to shut down Rhino. Raheen has just respawned. He must find something here with Alorum before the rest of the team is in base. He is pumping out a lot of damage, but struggling to stay ahead of Dokla. And only so much can be done by Alorum. Zeyzal is 1 HP. Alorum's thrown forward into him, but Zeyzal gets healed up by Apollo. Raheen is back in the fountain, trying to regen any HP to fight this with. But this game, this series, this upper bracket final is over. They have done it. Solafide are pushing it all the way to the base with the inhibitor shattered, and I do not see a way for Zeus to get back in this now.
Solafide have the time to push this out. Raheen still a long time from spawning. Last desperate attempt here from Zeus Gaming. Find the kill onto Zeyzal. Looking for more onto Winston, but Rhino is down. The Nexus towers are down. And Solafide in 31 minutes are looking to take down the Nexus as well. There goes last man standing. Darkwings into the wall, gets taken out, and Solafide take the series 2-0 in a 32-minute masterpiece.
I'll give them a moment. There we go. Solafide closed things out. My God, 3 consecutive minutes of just straight team fighting. But unfortunately, we arrived in that late game. Tuesday said, I'm not playing tomorrow, it's my day, and managed to help pick up team fight after team fight for 2 games in a row.
And I think it really was just the beauty of the team fights in the late game for Solafide, because yes, Raheen was ahead. Zeus Gaming did a beautiful job of getting him out in the early game, getting to 5-0. But the following team fights, team fight number 1, Winston dives immediately onto Raheen. Raheen is dead. Second team fight, Raheen is zoned out to the point where he puts off maybe 2 autos in the entire fight. And there is no way that Zeus Gaming can get back into it because their gold source, the person they put all their resources into, can't even participate into the game-winning fights.
Raheen had the damage. He couldn't deliver it though. The roads were closed. They were iced over back. There was no way for this Tristana access the team fights, and the desperate attempts to do so led to an opening where he's all alone in the mid lane, right as that Drake is coming up, right as everything is on the line. Raheen is found all alone, and Tuesday just blows him up.
Beautiful game there from Solafide. Again, showing why Tuesday has that insane KDA. Looking to see if Tuesday can take that forward into the grand finals on the 3rd.
Yeah, that's what they have just locked their way into. Don't worry if you're a Zeus Gaming fan, the cat is still alive. It'll be down in the lower bracket playing tomorrow. You can find that again over at twitch.tv/academy. We do have an interview here, I believe it is with Apollo. So I'm very excited to hear what he has to say about that game. We'll head to that in a moment. This is, of course, our final game of the UGP. So I am just looking back at all of our games so far, and I have loved every moment of it. I think this has been a fantastic event so far to demonstrate the wealth of talent we have here in the North American amateur scene. And if you are wondering, you know, where are the next generation of LCS players, the answer is not across the pond. I think it has become very clear that we have the talent here. Speaking of, let's throw over to an interview with some of our best NA talent.
Thank you, TJ and Iberia. We've got our winning ADC here in Apollo Price after a resounding 2-0 over Zeus Gaming. We thought we were about to go to a game 3, but Apollo and Cruz said, nah, that. We're ending it right now. We're going to take our day break, and we're going to be waiting on the grand final spot over on Wednesday. First of all, Apollo, congratulations. What were comms like as you guys were able to start looking for your comeback in this game 2?
They're calm, and yeah, I think Winston was just really looking for engages, and I think the big turning point was when we caught the Lucian on mid, I believe, and then after that we just kind of kept punishing their, I guess we just kept punishing their mistakes, you know, and yeah, we had I wasn't too worried about our scaling, you know, because we had Orianna essentially farming both side lane and mid lane at points, and our Sion was just unkillable because they had not enough damage past like Lilia, you know, or the only one that could actually really deal with Sion was just Lilia damage, which isn't really enough. So our scaling was good, and they just kept making mistakes, getting picked off, and then yeah, we just clean. It was clean after that, after we kind of got our gold lead back.
Right. Once you found that window of opportunity to punish Zeus Gaming for their overextension, you just got right back into the game. And like you said, Tuesday was a ticking time bomb, and just being able to pick up so much farm for himself. Well, now that you guys have secured your victory and spot into the grand finals, it will be a rematch between Zeus Gaming and No Org for the other spot in the grand finals victory, which will be happening tomorrow. What is kind of your thoughts on that matchup, and who do you think is going to take it going into Wednesday?
Well, it's so weird because we originally, just going into the amateur circuit, we thought that No Org was going to be kind of the other team that we're going to be playing against the most. But we actually haven't played versus them a single time because they kind of kept getting knocked out unexpectedly. I always thought that they were just going to be the stronger team, but that matchup specifically has been kind of, it's always gone on the side of Zeus. So I would say that it's No Org favored, but usually Zeus just proves me wrong, so we'll see. But I really want to play versus No Org just because we actually haven't played versus them a single time yet, and I think it's going to be I just think they're a strong team, so. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're going to get a hype grand finals either way, because either Zeus comes back and they want a dirty rematch against you guys, or you finally get the long-awaited matchup between No Org and Solafide, which would be the first time throughout the entire Proving Ground circuit so far that we have seen you two as teams playing it out. With a couple more minutes here, Apollo, I actually wanted to ask for your thoughts on your experience with Solafide and this whole Proving Ground circuit so far, just because after Unified Grand Prix tournament, we're not going to see you again until the Proving Grounds tournament in April. So I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on what that journey has been like so far.
Yeah, obviously we came in to the tournament just with pretty high expectations for ourselves. You know, we are very skilled players. We all come from kind of backgrounds where LCS or Academy or something that's better than amateur, right? So just as players, we felt like this is going to be easy, or at least I kind of felt that way. But I think I've been kind of proven wrong a little bit. The amateur scene is kind of grown in a sense where you're going against a lot of better players, a lot better just teams in general. But I still feel like just the amount of games that we've played helped us so much to be able to improve and really just look back and I don't know, I think just help improve ourselves as a team and as players. So it's been really fun just because of how many games that we've gone to play. I think what's the worst part about LCS sometimes is just have those 2 games and then you have to wait a full week and then you just sit there, and if it's like an 0-2, you're just kind of hungry for more. But we get to play best of 3s, even best of 5s for like full weeks on, or like 5 days straight. So I think that's what's been really nice about the whole thing. It is going to kind of suck that we're going to be taking like a 2-month break or something until Proving Grounds, which is unfortunate, but it's going to be nice just because we get to scrim more and yeah.
We'll definitely miss you, after this tournament is over, and looking forward to being able to see you again. Before I let you go, Apollo, is there anyone that you wanted to thank or shout out after your victory here today?
Yeah, obviously my teammates on Solafide, they overperformed today. I was just sitting there helping them out, cheering them on, really not doing much. Everyone on the team I've been really enjoyed playing with, and they're all working really hard. So I'll give a special shout out to Winston because we're always hard on him, and he needs that dopamine when we shout him out. So shout outs to Winston.
Yeah, shout outs to Winston, and he's definitely come a long way since the beginning of the ever since we first saw you guys over in Risen. So I know all of us here on the broadcast staff have been in really pleased with his progression over the entire Proving Ground circuit. Again, Apollo, thank you so much. Congratulations again. We'll see you on Wednesday. Until then, have a good evening, brother.
Thank you. You too.
Well, that was Apollo, and I actually really enjoyed his perspective coming from as a former LCS player on kind of the Proving Ground circuit, because I think the thing that stuck out to me the most here, Alk Battery, was his comment about, in the LCS, you would play the 2 games on Saturday and Sunday, and then you would just wait a full week. Because we were just here saying, like, oh, there's too many games. There's no room to breathe at all for these players. But, I think it's a completely different take to, or I guess the complete opposite polar end of the spectrum here.
Mark, the only thing that's more polarizing than that is the fact that you've changed 3 times this entire broadcast. You've gone for every single color. You're going red, beige, black, and you changed the LCS schedule.
Why are you mentioning that?
I just wanted to, make sure. It's something that I noticed. We were looking at the game. I was like, Mark has been changing his outfit a lot. But to go over this game.
It's something we gotta call out, just like we've gotta call out Zeus Gaming's improvement.
Yes,
in this
there we go.
Oh man, I was trying to be slick with it, man. I just wanted to be a subtle change, but I do want to kind of review this game. We do have, I believe, a couple of replays to look back on, and let's see here. I'm just trying to get out of the mode.
He can't.
Look.
Maybe I need to take off the jacket once again, switch it off. All right, so check this out, Alk. I know you were super happy about this. I believe the quote was king right here.
Yeah, dude, we were so excited. We were like, okay, they can't contest for Drake. They don't have vision. They're not setting it up. This would be a perfect time for them. Raheen had already used Flash, so there's no way he's going to be able to contest Winston and other of these, Solafide, fantastic job. They trade for that top turret, and that has basically been kind of the story for this game too for us. When we looked at Zoo, every time I think that there was a play from Solafide, I think that Zoo's made a really great counter either across the map or somewhere else just to grab an advantage, and I think we have really high hopes for them going into losers finals.
And then for Zeus Gaming, I think that that whole early game strategy, like you mentioned before, being able to put so much resources into Raheen, it was something that TJ and Iberia were commenting on throughout the cast that, hey, this is great. I think this is like by far one of the strongest investments we've seen into the bot side of the map. We don't have clips for all the dives, but it happened multiple times repetitively, and Raheen and Dark Wings were constantly getting kills up until or let's see, we have another replay actually around the 21-minute mark where you get to see an example of them putting those resources into Raheen as they just run down Dokla here. And Raheen is the constant beneficiary of these kills, and so it puts him super far ahead. Joey, you mentioned that he even invested into the new tech, the Lord Dominic's Regards second item here, as it's something that is by far one of the more efficient itemizations for ADCs these days.
Yeah, it's nice to see him build it. Obviously, it's really strong, and it's nice to see they're putting a lot of gold on this player, and he's using his gold well. He's not like making bad purchases with the money that he's given, so that's nice to see.
And in that play, actually, sorry, go, Kelsey.
I was just gonna say, also, obviously, we've heard that Raheen is one of the main voices on the team, so he's also just making intelligent choices, moving to the opposite side of the map, not wasting the investment that Susan's put on him. So.
I really like that play also. They kill Dokla because they're just being position police at that point. And it's like, okay, you cannot be here. We're going to kill you. And Solafide basically can't respond. They don't immediately run to Baron because they can't do it fast enough. And at that point, they just get a free kill. And Solafide recall it. It gives, I think, Zoo really nice windows where they're constantly looking for engages on certain players.
I think the other thing that we have to look at for Zeus is that despite all this investment under Raheen as well, even Dark Wings was getting a little bit of love on this Lucian as well. Yeah. He was roaming down and he was picking up some kills. He was efficiently using those teleports up until the 24-minute mark here, as Raheen unfortunately was not in the best spot here, Alk. And this is one of those moments where it's like, okay, you know what? This is fine. You know, that's a big shutdown that goes over to Winston. You know, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but, you know, maybe Zeus Gaming is able to rebound after giving it up. It's not like Raheen it's not like RuneScape where you're out in the wilderness and you lose all those items, right? You know, you still get to keep all those items with you, you know? You're not going back to Lumbridge, you know, homeless and nothing in your back pocket. But unfortunately for Zeus, Solafide were actually able to capitalize on that shutdown going into Winston, and then Winston was just on the forefront, forcing engage, and looking for more picks afterwards here, Alk.
And in terms of just looking at Solafide, just real quick before the handoff,
just
want to, because we've been talking about Zeus a lot, I think Solafide being able to recognize like that cheat window is actually a high risk play, because all three waves were pushing into their turrets, and so they went for it and they made it work. Like, if you're going for those high risk plays, you definitely have to get something or you're just going to be screwed over. So it was really nice to see. And again, in that trade, during that entire time, their laners get picked out. So what do Zoo do? They immediately push in mid wave. We see Darkwings also sitting in bot, doesn't invest the TP to try and save his team for whatever reason, right? Like, he knows it's a doom situation, and they get 2 turrets out of it. So it always feels like a little bit of a give and take between these two teams, and definitely, I think, surprised a lot of us because this is Solafide versus Zoo, and we were expecting it to be maybe more one-sided in favor of Solafide, and it was honestly it was really great to watch, especially after game 1, which we felt was maybe a little bit lackluster. I think Zoo definitely put a really great foot forward, and Solafide not one to kind of step back down after that. And I really loved what we saw in this game.
And then before we start taking a look forward at tomorrow's matches, Joey, I wanted to kind of get your last thoughts on how Pocket Rhino was, you know, making more proactive roams on the Galio this time around, and was trying to look and punish the fact that Zazel was kind of locked into this bottom lane on the farming side once again.
Yeah, I thought it looked like he improved a lot between the matches. He realized a lot of mistakes that he made in the previous game, and then he really adapted to that. He roamed a lot more. He had a lot better support windows. He even solo killed Winston on Dragon, I think. So it was really nice to see him look a lot more positive this game, and excited to see what he does in Losers Bracket.
Well, you know, speaking of losers bracket here, Zeus Gaming, because of that being their first loss, will be sent into the losers finals, which will begin tomorrow against No Org, who are looking for that miracle run, trying to get back into grand finals after first being sent there by Zeus Gaming in the first place. So it is a grudge rematch here for both of these orgs, and as Kelsey has mentioned before, they were formerly sister teams back over in Risen, and now we've already seen before that no org on paper should have a better track record across the entire Proving Ground circuit, but against Zeus Gaming in particular, they are down in terms of series record. And, Zeus Gaming seems to be their kryptonite here. And so I kind of want to get your thoughts, Kelsey, as do no org have what it takes to finally get through the mental block that is Zeus Gaming, or are Zeus Gaming going to look to knock them out once again?
It's pretty interesting, right? Because usually you get the rookie team that has pretty concise early game plays, but doesn't really understand how to play out mid game, and then they lose out in macro or whatever else. But I feel like with Zeus and Org, it's almost switched, right? You have their developmental rookie team in Zeus, and Noorg, who is able to consistently just set up the snowball situation, and then when they get to mid-game dragon fights and objectives, they don't quite know what to do, and Zeus are consistently able to set up good flank angles on them and carry those fights and take it home from a deficit. So that's the situation that gives you a clear pathway for what both teams need to figure out and clean up. Zeus need to have a better grasp of what their early game plan is going to be, and Noorg need to be able to make sure that they're recalling at better times, setting up their flank angles, clear on what they want their lane allocations to be, and either one of these teams can win it when it comes to it.
And then for you, Elk, this is kind of the last question before we start wrapping up our final show of today here. As we give Solafide time to rest for tomorrow and await their opponents, are there any things that you would like to see Solafide try to make in terms of quick adaptation or patching up before meeting their eventual opponents, either in No Org or Zeus Gaming on Wednesday?
Yeah, the important thing here is we're actually going to have a little bit of a format change up, right? We're going to be going into these best of fives now from here on out. So tomorrow will be a best of five, and Solafide will then have a chance to take 5 games potentially against whoever is the winner of that. So I look at this and I see Solafide. I think that realistically, I kind of want to see what the identity of this bot lane is going to shape up, because we only got to see 2 games now of the Senna Scion, and this is a new look, I think, for Solafide, even though they've been playing some of the Senna for Apollo, and they've been more willing to kind of reach out and play different bot lane champions. What exactly do we see on the patch? Because I know there was a little bit of Varus beforehand coming out from Apollo. What exactly do they want from them? And I think Zazel still needs a little bit of work on the Scion. And I think that just means that there is still some development available for Solafide and kind of getting to that final form as we crest into the tier 1.
Only time will tell here, ladies and gentlemen. And I do want to say, before we close out tonight's show, I wanted to, let you all know that for many of us here, today is our last show on the Unified Grand Prix. Starting tomorrow, we're going to have some very, very awesome faces coming in, both on the desk as well on the commentary booth. If you don't know, we have Raz Zyrene and Tim7 Houston coming in for the analyst desk, and then we will have Captain Flowers and LS in the commentary booth as well, both for Losers Finals tomorrow and for the Grand Finals Wednesday. But we had a lot of talented faces that came in throughout the very first few days of the Unified Grand Prix tournament, not just on this Academy channel, but also on Upsurge Esports Twitch channel. And we want to give them a big shout out for all the work and the hard hours that they put into making this tournament incredible and an amazing broadcast experience. Honestly, it has been a huge pleasure working with you all, and an absolute, gosh. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, wow. Mark, you're gonna make me cry, bro.
Yeah,
Jesus.
No. Hey, man.
Again.
It was an incredible journey being able to capture the stories of these bright, young individual players and being able to do it along some of the best colleagues I've gotten to work with here in the esports scene. Has been a real treat. So, yeah. Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
Bro, we're literally going to see you in a couple of days for Wisdom. Come on, man.
Hey, no.
Bring us home.
We're not talking about other tournaments. We're talking about Unified Grand Prix only. So, but again, On behalf of the entire broadcast staff and crew for Unified Grand Prix, we want to thank you all for coming out to tonight's show. We will see you tomorrow here at 6 p.m. EST. Have a good night.